How's it going, everyone? Today I'm going to show you how to create your own tutorials for Instagram, for YouTube, for TikTok in Adobe After Effects and a little bit of Premiere Pro. So let's get right into this. This is how you create a speed ramp without any keyframes in Adobe After Effects. Let me show you. First thing you need to do is make sure you have all your footage trimmed, stabilized inside of a pre-comp. So you have everything organized and it's ready to go. Then you can trim it up and add it to your song. So make sure it fits into all the beat points or anything you want in the song itself. And we're gonna open up Essential Effects and go to our speed ramp controller. So now that we're in here, you're gonna adjust your start speed, your middle speed, and your end speed, and adjust your curve strength as well. Once you have this dialed in, you can select one clip and press apply, or you can select multiple clips that are already lined up and pre-comped and press apply, and it will automatically add your speed ramp without any keyframes or adjustments needed. So for this clip here, I want to change it. I want to do a reverse out at the end and change some of the speeds. So all I'm going to do is adjust my speed ramp controller, click the reverse out button, and then press apply, and you'll see it will automatically update to a reverse at the end of this clip. And here are the results. So here was the final product of what I just showed in the example, but we're going to restart and I'm going to start from scratch to show you the exact process of how I do this. So let me close all these comps and let's start a new composition. 29 FPS, 4K vertical is my setting, so I'm going to press OK. And now we have our timeline. I also am going to do composition settings. Forgot to change the length of it. It's a little too long, but that's okay. I'll put here at the 5-minute mark. I'll press N and I'll trim it right here. So I have 5 minutes, enough breathing room to really adjust the timeline how I need it, depending how long my video is going to be, which is probably going to be a minute. Now I'm going to drag in the screen recording and the audio, which I recorded on, and then I'm going to get the Facecam and put that right on top. And the first thing we need to be doing is syncing these two together. Since I'm recording audio on my camera too, I'm just going to sync it based off of that. So I have a countdown here. So when I record, I do a 3, 2, 1. So I get kind of like a starting guide or a lineup guide. So I'm going to make sure this is lined up properly. Great. Perfect. Let me trim it because I know now this will be the maximum amount of time that I will be using for this video. Which is not going to happen. It's not going to be 3 minutes. We're going to bring this down to a minute. So cool. Now let's separate these and rename them. So this one will be screen audio. And the top's already named Facecam. We'll mute the Facecam, the audio here. And now that this is ready, I'm going to trim them both to size, bring them to the front, and trim this comp again. Also make sure you save the project. Next step, we'll be going through it and using only the usable parts that I want to make. So basically building the foreground of this video. So I'm going to go through it right now and trim it up and line it all up, and then we'll get to the editing part of each clip. So I just trimmed up my whole timeline right here, and I ended with a loop at the end. So I recorded a sentence that will loop back to the beginning, which will be the intro of this video. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that out, and I'm going to slide that to the beginning, move it to the bottom, and I'll select all the other clips above that, and I will drag it out to match the end of that clip. Let me just make sure I trim this all the way. Yep, and then I'll select everything and line it up like this. So let me trim my comp. So I'm going to select the last second of this video, ON, and then trim this. And then now I have a loop. All right, now that everything's lined up and this is exactly what I'm going to be using, it's time to get these framed exactly how I want them. So I'm going to start with the Facecam first. So right here, I have the Facecam. I'm going to do a little trick because I want to do rounded edges and make this look really clean. So I'm going to make sure I have nothing selected. I'm going to go up here to my rectangle tool and do a rough rectangle of the size that I want. So I'll do around right here. And now I'm going to go to my properties tab on this shape layer since I made a new shape. And I'm going to make sure I choose the rounded edges and increase the roundness. So now you can see the edges get rounded and are smoother now. I'm going to hide this for a second. And now I'm going to go back to my Facecam. I'm just going to start with 1. I want this to fill up as much of the screen as possible. So right around here. And now I'm going to go to toggle switches and set my matte to that shape layer. So now wherever I move my image, it will fill within that rectangle that we made. So I'm going to make sure this is sized accordingly. So it's all the edges. And now it looks good. Next thing to do is select all your Facecam if you're using a Facecam. If not, then just do this for your recording or whatever you're doing. And I'm going to select all these and make the same matte to that shape layer. I also need to copy the Facecam we just edited, the transform values. So I'm going to copy that, select all my layers once again, the Facecam in this scenario, and I'm going to go to transform and paste the transform. And I'm just going to paste it to all these layers. I do need to set the matte. I'm not sure why I didn't add it, so let's add the matte again, and there we go. Now we have it all sized correctly. Next thing to do is select all these layers and the shape, and we're going to add this to a pre-comp. So I'm going to move all composition to the pre-comp. So now I have one long thing of just my Facecam that's already edited, so I can move it, put it wherever I want. So this is organized, and we're done with the Facecam. So part 1, done. Now we need to do the background. So same things apply. Let's set our transform to fit it in frame, probably the similar size as the Facecam, so right around here. We're gonna go ahead and you can either make a new rectangle or just copy your shape, paste it in here again, and you have it once again. So I'm gonna do that instead. Select all these layers, put the matte onto that shape layer, and we have the nice edges. I will also increase the scale right to around here is what I want to be showing. Maybe even a little bit more, and move this to the side. So just adjust it, fit it how you want within that rectangle. Now that this is done, I'm gonna select that rectangle, all of my screen recordings, and I'm gonna pre-comp that as well. Something I should have noted earlier is you should probably make markers on each cut point just so you have a good estimate of where you're cutting, because you'll need to know that for this part right here. So since I didn't do that first, you probably should do that first, so I'm gonna make sure I do all my markers right now. The reason you want to be doing this is because when we change the Facecam or we change the recording, you want to know where those points are or where the cuts are. So I'm just going to set rough points. Not really mandatory to do this, but it helps. Okay, great. Now that I have everything set, I want to add some guidelines so I know where to put my frames. So to do this, I like to open up the proportional grid, and I have the rulers enabled. If you don't have this, go to view and then go down here to show rulers. Then you'll get this ruler in which you can click it and make your own guidelines. So in my case, I'm going to make sure that the guides are within these two crops right here, since I will be using this for reels. And I do want to make sure the edges don't pass halfway through the side, just because it will crop when you upload it online. So this is about good for me. So let me scale and adjust both of these to about the same crop. I'm also going to rename my layers since I didn't rename it when I comped it. So we'll do face and screen. I'll put the face on top. Mute the face layer. Perfect. So for the screen, I'm going to have this one on the top section. Right around there. It's perfect. For the face, I'm going to put this on the bottom section. Right around here is perfect as well. A little more centered. Now I'm going to turn off my proportional grid and I can move these rulers. Great. So I'm leaving a little section in the middle because that's where I'm going to put my subtitles. So leave that in the middle, add some subtitles in there. It'll be clean. And I'll show you how to do that in Premiere. If you want to do it in After Effects, it takes a lot longer and it's kind of annoying, but you just have to manually do it. So now that I have my basic shape ready to go, I'm going to duplicate my background layer, which is this, because I want that in the background. So I'm going to take the bottom one, make sure I mute it, and just keep only the eye icon, which is the visibility. I'm going to increase it. I'm going to move it down right around here, increase it even more, because I really want to fill up all the gaps for my preview. So that's perfect. Next, I'm going to add some Gaussian blur to this, just to blur it out, because it is the background. We don't want the focus to be there. And I'm also going to open my opacity, and I'm going to darken this. Another thing you can do too is add a tint to it, so you can create a new solid. And if you have a color theme you like or whatever, you can add that color, put it right here, and then you can go down to blending mode and do overlay, color, whatever, and just increase or decrease the opacity on that, and you get a slight tint. So looks good. You can even do a gradient instead. I'm going to add an adjustment layer right above the background. Let me rename it background, and let's add in a gradient ramp. So now we have a cool little contrasting color. So I'm going to have the top be a white color and the bottom will be a purplish thing to match my background. So perfect. Now we want to just blend it with original, or you can just right click and change the blending mode to something like color, and you can get color like this. So really subtle details like this can really help your video and just make it look a little bit sharper. Great, so now that this is all done, I'm going to now add some animations to the screen recording. So let me find all the points where I want to animate. But this is how you create a speed ramp without any keyframes in Adobe After Effects. First thing you need to do is make sure you have all your footage trimmed, stabilized. So right here, I want to adjust this part. I want to have it zoomed in to my timeline. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure I click on my screen layer where my timeline cursor is, and I open this pre-comp is where it will tell me to adjust. So right here is where I need to adjust. So I'll set a marker. I already had one here. So I'll set a marker there, go back to my comp and see where I want it to end, the animation to end. You have all your footage trimmed, stable, organized, and it's ready to go. So right here is where I want it to end. So I already have another marker. So pretty simple for me. So now I know between 1 and 2 is where I want to adjust. So I'm going to press scale, keyframe it, press P, position, keyframe it, press U to open up all my keyframes. I'm going to set the original at the beginning, and then I'm going to zoom in and move my position to the timeline where I want it. I'm going to make sure I select these, go to workflow, and do an in curve graph. To do the in curve graph, it basically looks like this, where you have it more mushed to the left side and the right side extended all the way out. So now I will have a zoom in. Adobe After Effects. First thing you need to do, it's a little too fast, so I'm gonna move it back. First thing you need to do is make sure you have, and now we'll go back to our main comp now and let's preview what we did. First thing you need to do is make sure you have all your foot. You can see up there that I did the animation just for that layer only, and it stays within the crop, which is exactly what we want. And if you want to make it a little bit smoother, you can have it go back to its original position at the end. We'll make sure we easy ease these, just so you have a nice transition to the next clip. Inside of a pre-comp, and it's ready to go. Points or anything you want in the song, and your end speed. Great, now I'm going to do this for the rest of my clips. I'm going to see what points I want to adjust in order to fill this area and really zoom in and focus on what I'm talking about. Since the face cam is going to be static, it's just going to stay there. So now that we're in here, you're going to adjust your... One thing I forgot to mention, you need to add motion blur. So when we do these effects right here, these keyframes right here with easy ease, all that, make sure you click right here and do a motion blur so you get a nice motion of it zooming in to your focus area. And adjust your curve strength as well. Once you have this dialed in, you can select one clip and press apply, or you can select multiple clips that are already lined in the ramp without any keyframes or adjustments needed. So for this clip here, I want to change it. I want to do a reverse out at the end and change some of the speeds. So for this one, I'm going to do a double position and movement. So I'm going to zoom in first to the bottom of where my cursor is. Easy ease that. And then once my cursor moves, I'm going to copy my last set of keyframes. When it's ready to move, I'll then adjust it there. So we'll go back to the speed ramp and we'll make sure these are all easy eased and motion blur. Now we have a zoom in and it follows the cursor once again. You can adjust the graph as well to really follow that cursor. So I'm going to have it go a little bit faster, so it'll fly with the cursor and add the reverse out. So for this clip here, I want to change it. I want to do a reverse out at the end and change some of the speeds. Cool. So that's exactly how I want it to look. I'm going to copy this keyframe, and then get my original keyframes. And I'm going to put that right over here so it goes back to normal. Perfect. Okay, last thing I need to do is for this preview section where I'm going to show the results of what I just did. So for this one, I'm going to take out the face cam and extend the preview. So let's start with the preview. So I'm going to go in with my comp exactly at the marker where I want to adjust. So it's this clip right here. Luckily I already have it adjusted. So for this one right here, the thing I'm going to do is I'm going to split my shape layer, split it twice right above the area where our screen is. And let's reconnect that matte to the new layer right here. You may also need to reconnect your other layers to the shape layer. So I'm going to extend this mask now by going up You can hold shift or whatever. And I want it right around this size. Cool. So now that it's that big, I can now have all that play area within my preview. So let me move this over, and I want it like this. Zoom in a bit more to get rid of some edges. Make sure it's centered. Perfect. So now I have this ready to go, and I just need to adjust it on my timeline in the main composition. So I'm gonna go ahead and split everything right here and then move it to the top so I know the order of everything. And now we need to get rid of the face cam, so we can either animate it out or the results. But I think I'm going to do a transition instead. So we can hide the face cam until right around here where we need it again. So I'm going to split and I'll hide the face cam until the outro. I know this looks too good to be so cool. I'm going to do the same thing with the other 3 layers right here. Split them so we don't touch these ones anymore since they will be staying exactly the same. Great. Now for our screen, we need to put this back in the center, adjust the size. I'm going to open up proportional grid once again so I know the center point. And let's put this right in the middle. You can also do the align right here and just align it to your composition. So I aligned it to the center, and I'm also going to align it in the center of the video. So now it's centered in the middle. Here's what that looks like. Are the results. And you notice too that the background will continue to match and it'll be zoomed in as a nice background. So let me show you everything we have now before we add in the transitions and some sound effects. But this is how you create a speed ramp without any keyframes in Adobe After Effects. First thing you need to do is make sure you have all your footage trimmed, stabilized inside of a pre-comp, so you have everything organized and it's ready to go. Then you can trim it up and add it to your song, so make sure it fits into all the beat points or anything you want in the song itself. And we're gonna open up Essential Effects and go to our speed ramp controller. So now that we're in here, you're gonna adjust your start speed, your middle speed, and your end speed, and adjust your curve strength as well. Once you have this dialed in, you can select one clip and press apply, or you can select multiple clips that are already lined up and pre-comped and press apply, and it will automatically add your speed ramp without any keyframes or adjustments needed. So for this clip here, I want to change it. I want to do a reverse out at the end and change some of the speeds. So all I'm going to do is adjust my speed ramp controller, click the reverse out button, and then press apply, and you'll see it will automatically update to a reverse at the end of this clip. And here are the results. I know this looks too good to be true, but this is how you create a speed ramp. Our video is looking great. It does a loop, it flows so well, and it's very clean and aesthetically pleasing. So if you want to do more to this, you can. So such as the face cam, if we want to add a glow on the outside, we can duplicate that layer, add a S glow or whatever glow you want to use, increase it, and you can literally add anything you want. So if we want a nice little background glow, we can do that, no problem. I'll keep that in there for now. I also want to make sure that I have all my motion blur enabled. So just to play it safe, I'm going to enable motion blur for everything. So it's only going to be used if you do have motions. So you can see right here, it does a motion blur when it moves. So that's great. Let's hide this grid. And now let's do transitions. So I like to do my transitions such as the intro, outro, and whenever things change. But this is how you create a speed ramp without any keyframes in Adobe After Effects. First thing you need. So I'm gonna set a marker. Here's my first point. I'm gonna go ahead and add a film burn that I have in Essential Effects. I'm gonna add this in here. And let's change the blending mode to add or lighten and put it to where the film burn's at its peak, basically. And I'm gonna throw in a film burn sound effect in here as well. Open this up, put it right there. First thing you need to do is make sure. And it is perfect. So I'm going to pre-comp this since this is what I want. I'm going to call it film burn transition. And now I have a film burn transition in a pre-comp. But I will need to adjust the blending mode once again. So let's just do that. Change it to add. First thing you need to do, you can either do that or you can go to switches again and rasterize it. So that means all the effects in that pre-comp will transfer over as this itself. Great, now I'm going to copy this and paste this to every point that I want it to be at. Great, now what we're going to do is add any sound effects you want. In my case, I didn't add too many. I'm only going to do one animation in here since I did mention Adobe After Effects. So I'm going to grab the After Effects logo and I'm going to slap that in there. Cool, so I have the After Effects logo. Let's reduce this and I want it to come in only on the face cam. So I'm actually not gonna put this in my main comp. I'm gonna put this in my Facecam comp. So we'll go into the main comp right here. I'm gonna put it where I want it to be when it comes in. So right around there. I'm also gonna connect this to the shape layer to get that in depth. So it's only inside this box. And I'm gonna press P for position. And I'm gonna animate it from the left to the right. Also, don't forget your motion blur. It really ties in everything and the graph as well. So we'll easy ease these. Keyframe, easy ease, go to our graph. And I want it to come in faster in the beginning and slow down towards the end of its time. I'm gonna move this in here and perfect. Now let's see the results. But this is how you create a speed ramp without any keyframes in Adobe After Effects. First thing you need to do is... Great, now I think this video is done in After Effects. We can go ahead and render this and then we'll put it into Premiere Pro and do the subtitles. Now we are in Premiere Pro, so we can add some subtitles, also known as captions. So I'm gonna drag in my layer right here to my timeline. What we need to do is add our text. So you need to go to Window and make sure you have your text pop up right here. And we're gonna go to the transcript section and transcribe. So it'll automatically transcribe your audio right here. So wait for this to finish. If you don't do anything in Premiere, this will finish very fast. Before we start to create the captions, you need to review all your text and make sure it's exactly how you want it. To adjust it, you just double click and you can change anything you want. So let me go through this and make sure everything is proper. But this is how you create a speed ramp without any keyframes in Adobe After Effects. Here are the results. I know this looks too good to be true. Once you confirm that all your text is proper and it's exactly what you want, go to the Captions tab right here and create captions from transcript. You won't have any settings in here. These are the default settings, and this is what I like to use. So maximum length of characters, I like to put it around 16, maybe less. Minimum duration, put that to the lowest. And for lines, I'm gonna use single since I wanna put it only in the middle right here. So now you can create captions. But you'll notice that it's a basic caption at the bottom of your screen. So we need to fix this. In order to fix this, you need to find your properties. So find your properties tab right here. If you don't have it, go to Window and then find properties. Find properties right here and then put it in here. And it will pop up once you select a layer. So there's a couple things we need to do. The first thing is put this in the center and change the font, the style, the look of the text itself. And then after that, we'll do some animations of the text so it does a little pop-up effect when you edit it or place it in here. So I'm going to change my font right here. Choose a font you like, doesn't matter, up to you. Change the size, and then right here under the Align and Transform, we're going to put it in the center. It's almost perfectly centered because in After Effects we made sure that the center was clear. But if you need to adjust it, you can use this slider right here and put it anywhere you need to. Now that that's good, the fill, I'll keep white, and I might want to add a outline or a stroke. So you can put any color you want, but I'll put a black stroke and I'll thicken this up just a little bit so the text stands out, not too much because I still want it to be clean. Now, I think this is great. And now we need to apply this to all our layers or all our text files in that case. To do this, you want to save your track style. So click on your layer and then go right here to the plus icon and create style. We'll name this sub 1. So you have two options. You can select all your text and then change the style to the one you saved. Or you can click on that one text with that style that you made and you can click right here and it will apply it to all your captions on the track. Now we have it all adjusted, but it's not centered, which it should be. I don't know why it's not centering. So let me try this again and all captions on track. Cool. Now it's centered exactly how I want it. And this is perfect. Next, we need to do animations for each caption. To do this, you can't do it while it's a text layer. So we need to select all our layers and we need to go to graphics and tiles and upgrade this caption to graphic setting right here. Once you do that, you'll see that it changes the caption to an image file. So now we can go up to effects control and adjust the captions themselves. I'm gonna start with the first one right here. I want it to do a down to up animation in the beginning of the text. So I'm gonna keyframe position, move this around 3 frames, maybe 2. And I'll start it with the bottom and then it will go up. One thing I do notice in Premiere is that you can't do a motion blur option on here. So this is a bypass. So forget the adjust the motion right here. We're just gonna set this back to the original values. 1920. And instead, we're going to go to our Effects tab and look up Transform. We're going to drag on the transform value right here onto our layer. And now we have an option here called Shutter Angle, which I'm going to set to 180. This is so you can add motion blur. And if you disable the Use Comp Shutter Angle, you can just have it at your 180 that you set. So now if we move it, you'll see there'll be a motion blur when we keyframe. So it's keyframe position, move it 2 frames out, and then we'll start it a little bit on the bottom. Now it will have a slight motion blur as it moves. If you want more, you can adjust the shutter angle however you want. But this is great. Now that this is done, we need to apply it to everything, right? So let's copy our transform effect, Control C, we'll zoom out, select all our layers, and then we'll paste it. Now you'll see that it's pasted to all of them. But this is how you create a speed ramp without any keyframes in Adobe After Effects. And that's how you do the captions in this. This sums up the video on how to make your own content or make your own reel tutorial style, such as I did. So make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.